Hello and welcome to our channel. Today, we're taking you behind the scenes on our latest website template. In the following conversation, you'll hear two industry experts explore every detail, from design choices and usability to real-life applications. If you're curious to see the template in action, we've made it easy for you. Click the link in the description for a live demo and full details. Now, let's jump into the conversation.
Right, so we're diving deep today, and I think this one's going to be really interesting, especially if you're involved in the world of dog training at all.
Yeah, definitely.
We're taking a look at something called Canis. It's a website template,
Okay.
and specifically, it's the Canis Elite Dog Training Services HTML website template.
I like the name itself. Sounds pretty high end.
Yeah.
Elite, yeah.
So this is by Tigma Template.
Okay.
And we found this in a Medium article, actually, that Tigma Template published just last month, March 2025.
Very recent.
Yeah, so it's pretty up to date. And I think, looking at a website template might not sound super exciting on the surface, but I think what we found in here could really be valuable to folks in the dog training world, or even people who are just thinking about getting into it.
Yeah.
Because it really shows you how to take advantage of this whole digital world and how to really create a strong presence online, which I think we can both agree is
Absolutely crucial these days.
yeah. So
Yeah, it's not just about being good with dogs anymore. You got to be good at presenting yourself online, and for most people, that first point of contact, that's going to be your website, right?
yeah, it's like your digital storefront.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we're going to dive deep into this Canis template and see what it's all about and why it might be a good fit for someone in the dog training business.
Yeah, so our main goal today is really to figure out, like, what are the key features, what are the benefits, and why should you, the listener, even care? Like, what does this have to do with you and your business or your potential business?
Right.
So right off the bat, the article starts out with a pretty strong statement. It says, having a really commanding digital presence. It's not just a nice to have anymore. It's essential, especially for dog training services. And they make the point that it's a really competitive market out there.
For sure. Yeah. Right.
So you really need to stand out. And
It makes sense, right? If someone's looking for a dog trainer, where's the first place they're going to go? They're going to Google it. They're going to look online. And if you don't have a website, or if your website is, like 10 years old and hasn't been updated, you're already behind the curve.
yeah, you're basically invisible.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing is, it doesn't really matter how good you are as a trainer. If you're not showing up online, people won't even know you exist.
Yeah, and I think what's interesting too is that back in the day, it used to be that if you had like a big fancy office or big ad in the yellow pages,
Right.
that gave you a certain level of credibility. But now with the internet, it's almost like the playing field has been leveled in a way.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
anyone can have a really slick, professional looking website.
Absolutely. And a smaller business, a newer business can look just as established, if not more so, than a company that's been around for years but hasn't kept up with their online presence.
Yeah, so this Canis template that we're looking at,
Yeah.
It's not just a generic website template.
Right.
This is something that's made for elite dog training services.
Okay. So they're really targeting a specific niche here.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that makes it so interesting, is that they've really thought about the specific needs and the image that someone who's running a high quality dog training business wants to project.
Right.
So it's about taking that expertise that you have in the real world and making sure that it comes across online as well.
Yeah, it's about bridging that gap between the hands-on work that you do and creating a really polished professional online experience.
Yeah, it's all about first impressions, right?
Exactly, that first click.
So one of the big things that they keep coming back to in this article is how Canis is designed to really turn those website visitors into actual paying clients.
Okay.
So they talk about features that are specifically aimed at boosting bookings.
Right.
They talk about, showcasing testimonials, which I think are super important.
Huge. Yeah, testimonials are social proof.
Yeah, yeah. It's one thing for you to say how great you are, but when other people are saying it,
It carries a lot more weight.
it's much more believable.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they also talk about just generally helping you stand out online.
Yeah.
Because like we were saying before, it's a competitive market.
Yeah.
You need to differentiate yourself. So they see Canis as a way to really do that, to make it easy for people to find you, to understand what you offer, and to ultimately book your services.
So it's like they've really thought about that whole customer journey from the moment someone lands on your website to the point where they're ready to sign up for a class or a training session.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think,
Which, when I think about it from my perspective, when I'm looking for a service online, that's exactly what I want.
yeah,
I want to be able to see what they offer. I want to see what other people are saying about them. And I want it to be easy to get in touch, to book. I don't want to have to jump through hoops.
right. No one wants to send you a carrier pigeon or something.
Exactly. Yeah, it should be seamless.
So, let's get into some of the actual features of the template itself.
Okay, sounds good.
Starting with the design,
Yeah.
they talk about it as being a clean, modern layout, which I think is, sounds like marketing speak, but
Yeah.
but I think what it really means is that it's a website that feels uncluttered.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy on the eyes. It's not visually overwhelming.
Right. And it looks up to date. Doesn't look like something from, 1995.
Exactly, yeah. And I think in a field like dog training, where there's a certain level of professionalism that people are looking for.
Mm-hmm.
I think having a website that looks clean and modern really helps to communicate that.
Yeah, it's like having a well-organized training facility, right?
Right,
Like
okay.
if you walked into a training facility and it was just like chaos, stuff everywhere, you'd probably be like, maybe not.
Yeah, you'd turn around and walk out.
Yeah, but if it's clean, it's organized, it's well lit, you immediately feel more comfortable, more confident.
Right. It inspires trust.
Exactly.
And they also make a point of saying that it's not just about looking good on a big computer screen.
Right.
This template is what they call fully responsive, which means that it adapts to whatever device someone is using. So
Right. So whether you're on your desktop, your laptop, your tablet, your phone,
Yeah.
it's going to look good. It's going to function properly.
yeah, exactly. And I think that's so important these days, because people are constantly switching between devices. I mean, I know I do it all the time. Like, I'll start looking at something on my phone and I'll switch to my laptop and then maybe to my tablet.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if a website doesn't work well on all those different devices, it's just a really frustrating experience.
It is. It is. And, I've been on websites where, you're trying to read something on your phone and the text is so tiny
Yeah.
and you're like zooming in and out and you can't find the button you're looking for and you just end up giving up.
Yeah, it's a nightmare. And I think, back in the day, maybe it wasn't as big of a deal.
Mm-hmm.
But now, I mean, mobile responsiveness is just, it's an expectation.
Yeah, it's not a bonus feature anymore.
Right. It's like having a phone that can actually make calls.
Yeah.
It's table stakes at this point.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, moving on, they also talk about interactive visuals,
Yeah.
which again sounds kind of marketing-y.
Yeah.
But I think what they're getting at is that, it's not just about having a website that looks good.
Mm-hmm.
It's about having a website that actually engages people, that tells a story.
Right. And visuals are a powerful way to do that.
Yeah. So they talk about things like animations,
Okay.
interactive galleries, things like that.
That's interesting.
And I think, for a dog training business, I can see how that would be really useful.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, imagine, instead of just having a paragraph of text that says, I use positive reinforcement training,
Yeah.
you could have a little video clip of you actually demonstrating that,
Yeah.
or a gallery of before and after photos
Yeah.
of dogs that you've trained.
Yeah, it's way more compelling than just, words on a page.
Way more engaging, for sure.
So next up, we've got effortless customization, which again, sounds like a bit of a stretch.
Yeah, every website template claims to be easy to customize.
Right, but what they're talking about specifically is using something called SCSS files.
Right.
Now, I don't want to get too technical here, but
No, keep it simple.
basically what this means is that you have a lot of control over the look and feel of your site.
Okay.
So you can change things like the colors, the
Mhm.
fonts,
Right.
the layout of those interactive elements that we were talking about.
You can really tailor it to match your brand.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think that's important because, you don't want your website to just look like everyone else's.
Right. You want it to have its own unique personality.
Yeah, and I think, in the dog training world, there are so many different approaches and philosophies.
Mm-hmm.
So being able to really customize your website to reflect that, I think, is really valuable.
Yeah, it's like the difference between, buying a suit off the rack and getting one tailored.
Right, exactly.
The off the rack one might fit okay, but the tailored one is going to fit you perfectly.
Yeah, and it's going to look a lot better, too.
Absolutely.
So it's not just about how it looks, it's also about how it functions.
Right.
They talk about having user-friendly features,
Right.
and they specifically mention integrated PHP contact and reservation forms.
Oh, okay.
Now, what that means in plain English is
Yeah, break it down for us.
that it's really easy for people to get in touch with you through your website.
Okay.
So they can fill out a contact form, they can book your services directly.
Right.
They don't have to go hunting for your email address or figure out a separate booking system.
So it's streamlined, it's convenient.
Exactly. And the easier you make it for people to do business with you, the more likely they are to actually do business with you.
Absolutely. We've all been on those websites where, you're like, okay, I want to contact this person. Where's their email address?
Yeah.
And you're like scrolling through every page.
Yeah, it's buried somewhere.
And then you finally find it. And it's like this long, complicated email address that you have to copy and paste into your email client.
Right. It's a pain.
It is. And you're just like, you know what? I'm just going to go to the next website.
Yeah.
It's not worth the hassle.
So another thing they talk about is advanced content organization.
Okay.
Which again sounds kind of jargony.
A little bit.
But what they're really talking about is having a way to present a lot of information on your website without it feeling overwhelming.
Right, because you don't want people to land on your website and just see this wall of text.
Exactly. Yeah, it's got to be digestible.
Yeah.
So they talk about things like accordions and modal windows. And basically what these are just ways to kind of break up the information and make it more interactive.
So you could have an FAQ section where, the questions are listed and then you click on the question and it expands to show the answer.
Right. So it's hidden until you need it.
Exactly.
And then modal windows are kind of like pop-ups, but they're not as annoying.
Right. They're more integrated into the website.
Yeah, so you can use those to highlight, special offers or important announcements without interrupting the flow of the website.
Yeah, it's a good way to draw attention to something specific without being too intrusive.
Yeah. So now let's talk about something that's really important for getting found online.
Okay.
And that's SEO.
Right. Search engine optimization.
So the article talks about how Canis is built with modern SEO practices in mind. And they mention an optimized code base and W3C validated HTML and CSS.
Okay, now you're just using big words to scare me.
I know, but I'll break it down, I promise.
Okay, good.
So basically what all of that means is that the underlying code of the website is clean, it's efficient, and it adheres to web standards.
Okay.
And the reason why that's important for SEO is that it makes it easier for search engines like Google to understand your website.
Okay.
So when someone searches for, dog trainers near me, Google is more likely to show your website in the results.
Okay, so it's like speaking Google's language.
Yeah, exactly. It's like having a well-organized filing system.
Okay.
If you've got a messy filing system, it's hard to find anything.
You're right.
But if everything's labeled correctly and put in the right place,
it's easy to find what you're looking for.
It's much easier to find what you're looking for, and Google's basically doing the same thing.
Got it.
It's trying to find the best websites to show people. And if your website is well organized and easy to understand,
you're more likely to show up higher in the search results.
Exactly.
Which means more people are going to see your website.
Right. And more people seeing your website means more potential clients.
More business.
Yeah. So it all comes back to user engagement. They talk about how, having an interactive design combined with fast loading times, which is another thing that the optimized code helps with. All of that helps to keep people on your site longer.
Right. You don't want people to click on your website and then immediately click away.
Exactly. Yeah. And the longer people stay on your site, the more engaged they are, the more likely they are to contact you or book your services.
And Google sees that too.
Yeah.
Google tracks how long people spend on websites.
Mhm,
And if
mhm.
they see that people are spending a lot of time on your website, that's another signal that your website is valuable and relevant.
Right. So it's a win-win.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
You got more clients, and Google is happy because they're showing people websites that they actually want to see.
Exactly.
So the big question, I think, that people might be asking at this point is, why choose Canis over all the other website templates out there?
Right, because there are a lot of website templates out there.
There are a ton, yeah.
So what makes this one special?
So what they're really trying to get across in this article is that, Canis is more than just a pretty design.
Mm-hmm.
It's a robust, it's a flexible digital foundation,
Okay.
and it's specifically built for dog trainers.
Right.
So they talk about the integration of interactivity with functionality.
Okay.
So things like integrated maps,
Mm-hmm.
so people can easily find your location.
All right.
Smart navigation, so they can find the information they need quickly.
Mm.
Those interactive galleries that we were talking about, it really seems like they've thought about the whole user journey from the perspective of someone who's looking for a dog trainer.
Yeah, and that's key, right? Because if you're not thinking about the user experience, then you're not going to create a website that people actually want to use.
Right, exactly.
And if people don't want to use your website, then it doesn't matter how pretty it is.
Yeah, it's all for nothing.
Exactly.
And another thing that they talk about is that Canis is designed to be future-proof and reliable.
Yeah.
So they offer regular updates,
Mm-hmm.
and they have comprehensive documentation.
So you're not left on your own to figure everything out.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think that's really important for people who, maybe aren't super tech savvy.
Yeah, because the web is constantly changing. So
Mhm.
it's good to know that the template you're using is going to be kept up to date.
Yeah, and that you're going to have support if you need it.
Exactly.
So finally, the article wraps up with a call to action.
Okay.
They encourage you to go check out the live demo of the Canis template.
Makes sense. See it in action.
Yeah, so you can actually, click around, see how it works, see how it looks on different devices.
Get a real feel for it.
Exactly, and I think that's always a good idea before you commit to anything.
Yeah, definitely.
So to kind of sum up everything we've talked about today, this deep dive into the Canis template has really shown us that it's a website solution that's specifically designed for elite dog training services.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a modern look. It's easy to customize. It's built with SEO in mind.
Right.
And it's got all these interactive features that can really help to engage potential clients.
Yeah, and I think the key takeaway here is that, having a professional website isn't just a nice to have anymore. It's essential.
Right.
It's part of your marketing strategy. It's part of your brand.
Yeah, it's your digital storefront.
Exactly.
And a template like Canis can really help you to create that storefront in a way that's effective and affordable.
Yeah, it's like having a professional web designer on your team, but without the high cost.
Right, exactly.
So it's a great option for dog trainers who, maybe don't have the budget to hire a full-blown web design agency.
Yeah, and even if you do have the budget,
Mm.
it's still a great starting point.
Mm-hmm.
Because it gives you a framework to work with,
Right.
and then you can always customize it from there.
Exactly.
So that's pretty much everything we wanted to cover today on the Canis template.
Yeah, I think we dove pretty deep there.
Yeah, we did. We done.
But I think it's worth, leaving our listeners with a final thought.
Okay.
And the thought is this. We've been talking specifically about dog training,
Mm-hmm.
but I think this applies to any business, really.
Yeah.
Having a strong online presence is essential.
Absolutely.
And using the right tools can make a huge difference.
Yeah. So the question I would pose to our listeners is, what are the tools that are specific to your niche?
Mm.
What are the things that can help you to really stand out online and attract more clients?
And how can you leverage those tools to build a successful business?
Exactly. Yeah. So that's something to think about.
Yeah, food for thought.
Yeah. And thanks for diving deep with us.
Always a pleasure.
We'll catch you next time.
See you later.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in and joining us on this detailed exploration of our website template. We hope this conversation has sparked your interest and given you a clearer vision of how this template might work for you. For a first-hand look, don't forget to check out the live demo and additional details in the description below. If you enjoyed this video, please hit like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. Until next time, keep innovating.